Okay, you're about to see the CVT on an Outback be used in a way it's never been used before.
Manual.
Yes.
Down, second. There we go. Hit it. Ooh. Come on, baby.
Actually finding the power.
There's some juice.
Yeah.
Come on, Raptor.
We're gunning
Come on,
down
baby.
a Ford Raptor.
Come on.
That thinks he's fast.
I mean, he's got a turbo too. Well, maybe that's
and
the
he
V8.
he can't outrun the 2020 Subaru Outback. That's a problem.
Come on, baby. Look at that.
This is the first time in this
The
2020
tune out of
Outback,
this.
it's the first time that the Outback has had a turbo motor in it for more than a decade.
You're watching Everyday Driver. We make a TV show, podcast,
and YouTube channels dedicated to great cars, driving adventures, and helping you find a car you'll love.
subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss a thing.
This car doesn't know what it wants to be. It's too high to be a car. It's not really a wagon because it's also too beefy. It's kind of like an SUV and it sits about as high as some small CUVs. What is it? And you're going to just tell me, well, it's an Outback. It's just cool. You just take it everywhere, and you have to take it outdoors if you own one of these. You have to change your life, and you're in the Outback now.
You're right. While we're doing this, it dawned on me I should do something. I haven't done this in a while. I'm going to count Outbacks. I haven't counted
There's
cars.
A green
during
one there.
There's a green one behind it. So one so far.
Okay.
There are so many. That's practically the official car of this area of the country. We're in the Park City area. And they are crazy useful. They get bought like crazy. But I'm going to actually count the ones we see in real time as we do this, because it's going to be nuts.
Even though we can't identify really what this thing is, they're one of the best-selling vehicles that Subaru builds.
In this area, they're ubiquitous.
Everywhere.
It's unbelievable.
They're super useful. You can almost hose them out. You can put your feet all over the inside, and you can use your toes to control this satellite radio if you want. It's the outdoorsiness of the vehicle that is so appealing.
Yes.
And I like it for that. And well done, Subaru, finding the niche and killing it with sales.
There goes that green Outback again. This is the 6th gen. This 2020 has been refreshed and made new in many, many ways. They've moved into a new architecture. It has this new 11-inch screen on it.
Yes.
That I have some things to come back to about. Oh, look, Outback. And there's no one up there, Outback. So there's 3 so far.
Well, don't worry, there will be more.
It's going to keep happening. So, Outback.
Yep.
I wish I was kidding. I'm not actually even making it up. That really is how many I'm seeing.
Outback Finder.
No, they don't. Because all it's going to do is ping. All it'll do is ping. You can't do that. I parked this once next to a GMC Acadia, the 1st gen that I had, and realized it was almost the same size. Now, the Acadia is a big 7-seater sold as an SUV, okay? It is, nothing about that is small, and this was almost as big. So I looked up the specs of the current Chevy Traverse, which is one of the largest Outback, one of the largest
It's going to keep happening.
7-seat SUVs being sold right now is the Chevy Traverse.
Yeah.
This 2020 Subaru Outback, hear me now, while being smaller exterior dimensions, has more front row and second row legroom than the Traverse does.
That's impressive.
That's shocking.
I used to think that Outbacks were just kind of a small wagon. Well,
they used to kind of be a small Outback.
And they've grown in size.
Yes, big
But
time.
they've needed to because of the market, because everybody wants more space. You're hauling more stuff. You're hauling steaks to the campsite. You're not just overnight. You're car camping now.
The world is getting awfully blurred once you get to the Outback. But it has a ton of space, and the vast majority of 5-seat CUVs are smaller than this capacity-wise, which is why they sell so well.
All right, well, so first the praise, and that is a car that just feels bulletproof. And I do like that Subaru has switched to a new screen, a new interface. Everything is down in here. All the stuff. There's very few switches and buttons to be able to switch to, like X mode. And on the Onyx XT Edition that we are driving, it is not merely a trim level. It is actually different. Deep in the X mode in the menu, there is a snow and dirt mode, and there's a deep snow and mud mode.
Extra deep snow with a little bit of slush. How far do they gradiate that out?
I'm not sure. Where do we cross over to mud? Because it's like wet dirt. Like,
Outback.
Where's the line? Because snow and dirt are just alike. They're the same thing.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
So the car operates the same in both those, and that is specific to the Onyx Edition, which I'm glad to see. Again, it's not just smoked lenses and a little bit of trim and blacked out this, and it actually looks pretty good as a trim package, but I want to see something different on this thing. I want it to stand out because exterior styling-wise, I don't really feel like it does. What is up with the little droop, the sag, and that nice character line?
The
it
side
takes
line,
all the energy out of the car.
It exhaled while they were drawing.
No! Stop that.
You can still get this with the original engine, by the way. The 2.5 liter
You
naturally
can.
aspirated,
You can.
which is not enough because this weighs 3,800 pounds.
Indeed.
So thank God this has the turbo with 260
praise.
horsepower
Yes.
and 277 pound-feet of torque. It is a decent engine for this. Unfortunately, it is still matched to a CVT.
I don't feel like the CVT, even though it's a high-capacity linear tronic CVT, it can take a lot of torque, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like it's matched very well at all to the engine. Here's why. You're going on an on-ramp, or you see a split in traffic that you need to make, and you put your foot down. The turbo's been asleep, and it thinks, okay, are we going? And it's very much like the WRX. And so you wait 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, turbo, oh my gosh!
Yeah, it does all of a sudden,
But at
doesn't
that point, because you've been rolling onto the throttle, the CVT's going, oh, we're gonna go soon. So it ratchets down to a really low ratio. So when the turbo hits, it snaps your neck. But that was 3 seconds after you needed it.
Yeah.
Because the moment has passed. You've missed your exit or your opening or whatever that is. I found myself in multiple occasions where I think, here we go. Where is it? Where is it? And I'm waiting.
You are waiting, yes.
Where was the turbo when you needed it? And so the solve is driving the car on the freeway in fourth or fifth.
Yeah, the ratio.
The ratio.
Mm-hmm.
To keep the air in the turbo, to keep the boost on, so when I need it, I'm good.
Yeah.
But then it wants to, of course, ratchet up to fuel economy and farther up the CVT belt chain thing. They're not matched. They sound matched on paper, but they're not. Hello, car, come back to life. That's another thing. You have to dig into the menu to turn the auto start stop off each time because it defaults.
Thank you for bringing it up. It is 3 touches down to get to auto start stop, and it
Stop
always defaults. That should be a button. You know the other one should be a button? Is recirc.
Recirc should be, even though it kind of is always a button, it
but
lives
you touch
here.
it, and then you have another screen that it has to load.
Yes.
Now you have to recirc. By that point, the diesel truck has just bombed you. It
Yes.
just bombed you. By the time you get to
you're
recirc,
choking.
it doesn't matter.
Yep.
That should be a, oh my gosh, big truck, recirc, done. It is 2 steps down with a page load in the middle.
Couldn't agree more.
Page load in the middle.
You shouldn't have to dig for a drop-down menu to find the actual mode. Do I need to accept the end-user license agreement? And yes. Okay, I agree. Join that. No, I don't want to donate. Can we just...
Please send me an email.
Go, do it. It should be a button right now. This is a great way of controlling many of the car functions.
The screen's good.
But the important stuff should be here.
Yes.
It should be...
Yes.
I expect X mode to be just, where's the switch? I shouldn't have to find for it. Now what do I... Oh, and I got distracted because I found another thing and you're like, well, that's an interesting item. Oh, yeah, X mode, right.
Yes.
Got to dig for it.
Start, stop, and recirc both should have buttons. Just a designated button.
So the interior, like I said, you can put your feet everywhere. I think it'll hose right out. You can wipe it right off. It actually looks good. I think
But it looks very nice, and it
good a long
feels
time.
decent.
Yes, it's great. It's made for the outdoors, and it should be, though. It should just be bomb-proof. Plenty of space for the coolers and the gear and people.
The kids and the dogs and the everything.
Get after it.
Yes.
And then just quick wipe, you're good.
It'll be around a long time.
That's what it should be.
We've only counted Outbacks while we've been moving. We're going to start moving again. We'll see more Outbacks.
We definitely will.
Yeah. I do find it interesting that we, as car enthusiasts and automotive journalists, are defaulted to like wagons. And then the U.S. is a market where wagons don't sell. And somehow this has avoided that perception and sells like crazy, and nobody identifies it with, oh, but I don't like wagons. The Subaru Outback just sells. Nobody thinks of it like a wagon. Nobody thinks of it like an SUV. It just sells as fast as they can make them. They litter the landscape here in the Rocky Mountains.
Yes.
They litter the landscape.
They do.
And yet, if you talk to the average person, oh, I don't like wagons. Well, who's buying Outbacks?
Everybody.
Everybody.
But it fills so many needs. And I think Subaru has kind of happened upon brilliance in making it bigger.
I can't believe how big, honestly.
You don't want the SUV, you don't want a car. What's in between? There's pretty much just one. Why can't it at least be also fun to drive? I dare you to drive smoothly. Without hunting, I dare you.
The only way is because I'm in manual. If I
Yeah.
put it in the actual CVT, here's the thing, if I put it in CVT mode and I go up this hill, it's going to hunt. It's doing it already.
And
It's
now
gonna
the
hunt,
turbo's off boost.
Never quite be where it needs to
power.
be. We don't like CVTs. A lot of people don't. Subaru has them across their lineup. The only saving grace is that Subaru, I think, has done the best as far as giving you usable ratios and paddles for the CVT to listen. I have 8 ratios that I can work with, and I can actually tell the engine to do what I want only in that manual. I don't drive it any other way.
Yes, but then your RPMs are up and everything's noisier.
Yes, everything's noisier. I'm using more gas.
Control your speed.
Yes,
at that point.
You're right. One of the upsides of the turbo is actually this has become something that can tow 3,500 pounds. That's a lot.
It's a torque monster.
Yes, it is.
It's
3,500
awesome.
pounds is decent. You could tow a lot of boats. You could tow small campers and stuff with this.
It almost benches its own weight,
Seriously.
which is great.
Every time I drive one of these, I am genuinely shocked by the amount of space and usability that the Outback offers, and it continues to do that. And now with this screen, it's become even more tech forward with Apple CarPlay and everything. It's great. I wish many of the features were not as buried in the screen as they are.
Yeah.
Subaru has done this thing where they have convinced everyone, other manufacturers have as well, that all-wheel drive is the only safe thing. And Subaru has really done well in making their brand soar as a result of everything is all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
They also have some of the most aggressive, forward-looking safety features on here with eyesight and a bunch of
forward-looking.
The car watches the driver's eyes to see to make sure the driver's paying attention.
Yes.
It is one of the most aggressive lane-keeping beep systems I've ever found. I went 4 layers deep in the menu to turn that off when we got the car. I had to park the car.
Was your patience 4 layers deep?
Yeah, I had to park the car, actually stop and dig and find it. I think in many cases this car is bought by people that either don't like to drive or are scared to drive. And they bought it because of the usable space and all the safety tech. That over-aggressive safety tech encourages the scared or timid driver to continue to be that because the car is coddling them. I see a lot of Subaru Outback drivers that seem either scared or confused on the road. I'm not going to fault the car, but I'm wondering if the car's effort to hand you safety and hand you protection is encouraging that behavior, even though the features are excellent. The problem is turning them off is difficult. Now, talking about features, here's an odd one. This car can be programmed to remind you of people's anniversaries and birthdays and that kind of stuff. Now, here's my question. There was a decision made for the car to be your personal assistant, but not to be worthwhile to drive. That was a fork in the road, and they decided to go toward personal assistant.
It could have been a Monday morning
reminding you of things and watching your eyes and protecting you instead of involving you in the driving. And
the last thing you need is your car reminding you of something that is extraneous
to the
task of driving.
I agree with you.
That should not make it in the car.
And in your confusing thing, this has a 13.5 to 1 steering ratio. A sharp steering ratio.
That's very quick.
A very quick steering ratio.
Yeah.
But it's a 3,800 pound car with soft suspension. So back to your doesn't know what it is. We have a powerful engine and a fast steering rack with a lackadaisical confused transmission and a body control that is soft. So you have...
It needs to be soft for all the off-roading you're going to do.
But that's the thing. The body should be soft. But then
Yes.
why is the turn-in so abrupt? Because it has that very aggressive turn-in. But then the body wallows because it's not designed for that. It's not set. You don't need that in this. I don't need sharp steering in this. It's not necessary.
Look, I definitely take your point about all the safety systems. They're a selling
Absolutely,
point.
they do. Absolutely.
Many of them are great and necessary and have made many people better drivers. It's not just Subaru. I think it's the industry at large.
Sure.
Subaru's definitely counting on that, and with the eyesight and everything, and the way they advertise it.
They're a front runner. They really are.
There are some good things. I was backing this out of my driveway, and I looked behind me. I did look, and out of nowhere, a huge dump truck came down the street behind me just after I turned away. So I should have looked again, but I at least looked once, backed out, and it was blocked by a dumpster, and there was some construction, and it just appeared. Surprise. And the car did warn me as I was backed out because the rear end was out in the street.
Cross traffic alert, and
it warned
that's
me.
great.
That was actually really cool.
Absolutely.
That really did help. That was very helpful because, surprise, it came out of nowhere. Have we reached peak Outback? Are we at the size are they gonna keep inflating from here?
It's huge. It's genuinely very big.
Does it get bigger is my question.
Yeah.
The next one
size of a Suburban.
Bigger.
It's a Suburban sized
it's an
Outback.
passenger Outback.
You don't even have to try to get a 5-seat CUV to 38 grand. You don't have to make effort.
I
they
agree.
just are that. So here you are with pretty much, Yukon space.
That's what the Ascent is for. I think we're maybe peeking out a little bit.
Maybe. Peak
Can we
Outback.
just-
Here we are.